talking here to my friend Glenda Jordan, and it's hard to know how to describe you because you do a lot of public speaking, you are involved in the arts, you're kind of a Renaissance woman. Is that fair?
Yeah, I would consider myself a Jill of many trades, for sure.
So I have to start here. Mm-hmm. You apparently flew here from Rivendell. As I look at your aesthetic, people are going to wonder what is this expression that you have with your little, what do you call that, a tiara, or what is that?
It's just a circlet. I'm a fantasy girl. I love, it was one of my escapes growing up where I grew up, and love any fantasy clothing and LARPing, and it just feels, it's an aesthetic that I've curated over time that feels truly myself.
I think it's amazing.
Thank you.
You ever do like the Comic-Con type stuff, where you go full cosplay?
Yeah, I do more festivals than conventions, where I run around in a forest dressed up as a fairy. Yes, I do that quite a bit.
And you're a mermaid?
Yes, I have done that too, yes. Professionally, I've been paid to do that, yes.
Now, hang on. Before we get into the meat of our discussion, I saw a documentary, I don't recall the title, about an entire culture of people who put on these fin skirt thingies.
Yes, mermaid
and
tails,
they go and perform shows as mermaids. You know something about that?
I know them. I am not a professional mermaid in that way. I just was hired to be a mermaid at a one-off gig.
Okay,
actually,
all right. So you're not in the
ago.
big fish tank in Vegas flying around.
No, you do have to be certified to do that for safety reasons, and I am not certified.
It's just such an odd conversation to have, like mermaids and whatnot. But and Glenda and I have known each other for a long, long time, and this is the first time we've really had a chance to chat on camera. So your mom is?
Amazing. Her name is Glenda Jordan, and Glenda Jordan is the executive director of Recovering from Religion.
And your mom was she was a shiny, happy people, Duggar family type mom?
Not quite Duggar family. We were not IBLP, but we were Dominionist Evangelical Southern Baptist Christians.
Like long skirts and no makeup?
Not quite the level where we were not allowed to wear pants. No, not quite there. But as soon as the doors were open in the church, we were in the pews and did Discipleship Now and mission trip training, and that was our lives for a long time. And she was the Susie homemaker, denim jumper wearing, casserole dish making, PTO mom.
And you reflected that in your own personality, or were you always, I have a hard time seeing you that
in a
way.
velvet dress at Bible drill.
Yeah.
I have a picture of it. Yes, I did Bible drill. I did Bible drill championship.
Explain Bible drill.
Bible drill is a competition where you are drilled on your knowledge of the Bible, and you have a tournament edition Bible, and you are tested on your memorization of, they'll say like Acts 22:3 or whatever, and you have to find the verse as fast as you can, and if you're the fastest person, you win. Or they'll tell you a verse, for example, for God so loved the world that John 3:16, right?
Yeah.
And you can win them, and I did. I won those competitions.
Did you get a trophy?
I did. It was praying hands, and I am very sad that I don't have that trophy anymore. It somehow has gotten lost over the years, because I would put that on my shelf. I also have my purity pledge card. I think that's very funny material to keep.
You signed a purity pledge.
I did.
True love waits. I promise I will not have sex until I get married.
Yes.
We're speaking in Tennessee, by the way. I don't know how many crosses, how many churches, and how many freaking MAGA flags I drove by getting here.
Yes, this is where I grew up.
I saw a flag yesterday. It didn't just say MAGA, it said Ultra MAGA, which apparently is MAGA and then more MAGA.
And then some. The cult's gonna cult. Yeah, I grew up on a farm about an hour away from here, yeah.
So you're out, fixing fence and working cows?
Yeah, we had cattle. We had white Charolais. We had hogs at one point, horses, goats, donkeys, chickens. I had about 100 acres. Yeah, that was what I grew up baling hay and mucking chicken pens. And
See you out there with the straw hat and the and the hay coming out of your mouth, and you're just.
I have a pair of overalls with me. I do.
You brought overalls.
Yeah, I wear them all the time.
So when you were being raised, then what was the role of a woman? You say your mom was like the helpmate. Were you trained to be that?
See, it was interesting because yes, Mom was, but she was always Mom. She was always the charismatic, loud, intoxicating person that she is now, and that clashed a little with the church, but we just did it anyway. And
I mean, with the husband, the head of the house, and she deferred to him?
It was, my parents, I mean, they were unique in their way. It felt like an equal partnership in some ways in the house. Now, my mother was a homemaker, true and true. She was a housewife. She did all the cooking and cleaning and child rearing because my father was a pilot and was gone for long periods of time. And those were the roles, but it didn't, my parents did not sit me down and say that these are what you are supposed to do. The culture at large said that, but my parents were a little unique in the environment. I had wonderful parents.
All right, so here I am, and I see bare shoulders. And I'm thinking, the Glenda of old, would you have been chastised for showing any?
I was in church, growing up on the farm. It was a lot of just dirty t-shirts and overalls. It was just working clothes.
But I mean, did they measure the hem to the skirt and all of that stuff?
In church and schools, yes. Again, I was allowed to wear pants, which was very progressive.
Wow, aren't you edgy? You're like the youth pastor with the tattoos that shows that he's seen some shit, man. He's been out in the world, man.
Yeah, we were allowed to wear pants. It was radical. And I was allowed to read. Radical. No, again, example, I was allowed to read Harry Potter. My parents let me read Harry Potter, and that was very radical. We had to keep that on the DL in the church, for sure.
I knew somebody who wouldn't let their kids watch Jumanji.
Oh, yeah.
Because they said Jumanji was like a Ouija board that would open up I don't know. Does that ring for you?
I'm trying to think of everything that I volunteer with an incredible person, Kara Griffin, and they also volunteer for recovering from religion, and just everything under the sun was demonic. Teletubbies and Pokemon and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and everything was demons and devils. But we didn't do a lot of demonology in my church. That was not. My church was more like the Americana of the square WASP, white Anglo-Saxon Protestant, very narrow. We didn't do a lot of the hysterical. We were not a charismatic church. There was no speaking in tongues at my church at all. We would have looked down at that. That would have been way too expressive.
But this was an Assembly of God church? Or?
This was Southern Baptist.
Oh, for some reason I thought you were more maybe it's your personality, but I'm thinking...
I know, right? Could you imagine if I had grown up in a charismatic church?
I
would be unhinged.
No, you would have spontaneously combusted. You would literally be ash on the ground with a high heel sticking out, probably.
Well, I think if I had grown up in a church where I had to make prophetic, you had to make prophecies or speaking in tongues. I mean, I was a theater kid, so it's a show. I would have been unhinged with it, I think.
Are you that person where there's this meme that shows the light switch and it says, absolutely obsessed, utterly uninterested. I tend to go there. I'm 1,000% or I've moved on.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, it kind of feels like that. My transition out of the faith felt pretty quick in some ways, and I did fight it for a while, but once, I was ready to let go. There was so much fun on the other side. I was ready to walk away.
Now, how does that happen? I know your mom, I'm not interviewing your mom, but Gail is family.
Big part, yeah.
And I have videos of Glenda Jordan from the archive, but she talked about her own journey out, a very difficult journey.
Oh yeah, sure, it was much harder.
Lots of costs in her life for leaving the faith. And a lot of that, I think, informs why she cares so much about recovering from religion.
It does.
You didn't have to go through that gauntlet the way she did?
Not at all. I deconstructed when I was 19, and she was doing it middle-aged and with married to a Christian man, so it meant her marriage was falling apart. All of her kids were leaving for college. Her social circle was falling apart, and she was losing everything. Whereas for me, I was going off to college. I was so ready to get the hell out of my hometown, where I was seen as just the weirdo freak, and you're different, and you don't follow the rules. And
Wait,
you don't
why were you a weirdo freak?
I just didn't. I just went against the grain.
You are a little bigger than life.
I mean
that in the best sense of the word.
I became a vegetarian while I was still Christian, and that was a big no-no.
What? Because recycling equals environmentalism, which equals lib, which equals Democrat, which equals progressive, which equals godless.
Yes. It's earth worship, and earth worship is pagan and.
The earth is our resource. God put it. We're supposed to use shit up and leave our trash in the corner because Jesus will be back tomorrow.
Yeah, rapture's going to happen anytime. We don't have to take care of this place. It's fine. That was literally the reason. We were told Earth Day because I was becoming an environmentalist. Remember, I grew up on a farm. I happen to like nature. So I think recycling and being a steward of the land is a good thing, and that was not met with enthusiasm.
What's that line that said, let's say climate change wasn't real, human-caused climate change. What if we just acted in more clean, efficient ways and made the better planet for the hell of it, because it was the right thing to do?
How dare you suggest?
Yeah.
Blasphemy.
Did you fully become a non-believer in college?
Oh, yes. By the time, I was also entering art school. I was getting a BFA in painting, which is, as you know, damn dirty, hippie, liberal.
What do you mean? You're painting nude people and hey, there's the model. And
the arts have always been on the progressive sides. It's always been God, I sound so obnoxious right now, but Bohemians have always been progressive, free thinkers, going against the grain. It was one of the things during the Third Reich Hitler targeted. If you've ever heard of the degenerate art exhibit, to this day, it's one of the most attended art exhibits that's ever existed. He made an exhibit of artists, gay and feminists and transgender artists, and anyone who was not adhering to the tenets of the Third Reich, to show off this is what degenerate art is. And at the end of that exhibit, they burned all of that artwork. We lost a lot of very important pieces.
I have said that in the fight to change the culture, it'll be the artists, I think, who lead that charge. I don't think we can't rely on the Congress to do it.
Nope.
Maybe the local and the regional courts, maybe, certainly not the Supreme Court. I really do think it's going to be the creators, those who can express and who are, you're right, I mean, you're a rebel, Glenda.
And I honestly didn't think I was at the time, which was a very frustrating feeling. I don't think recycling is that radical. I think y'all are just weird.
Well, I'm talking about beyond where you put your refuse. I mean, just, different sexual expressions and...
Even then, I didn't think that was weird. I didn't think, at the time, I didn't come out as queer until way later, but it was meeting other queer people and meeting transgender people and being in college and my hometown and, everyone that I grew up with, that's you freak. It's like, I don't see what's weird about this. You know what I think is weird? Staying in your hometown, never leaving, and thinking a one-off trip to Panama City Beach where you all wear white polos and khakis as your exotic vacation of the year. That's weird to me.
I mean, but a lot of people feel safe in that very narrow space. The different frightens them.
Yeah, I can't relate. I was seeking adventure and that distilled in me from my mother. I mean, she went off to backpack in Europe when she was a teenager.
God, I didn't see the ocean till I was 30.
What? Really?
I swear to you, I talk about sheltered. Like, we always vacationed up north at a relative's house, and we would but I never...
Which ocean did you see?
I flew over the Pacific. We were flying actually on a missions trip.
Oh, God.
And so I was on a plane. We were doing one of those child welfare things where you sponsor a child. It's like World Vision. It was called Compassion International.
Yes.
And, for only $11 a month, you can feed a child. And so they sent me over with a bunch of other broadcasters to document and call back about doing God's good work. And it's not that they weren't feeding children, which was amazing.
Which is wonderful, yes. It just comes with, and also...
bringing medicines and all that, but it was kind of loaded, right? Because it was almost like Jesus feeding the 5,000. he fed them physically so that he could then feed them in the more important way, which was spiritually. Yeah. And I've come to think now that missionary work is really colonization.
Yes. Yes. You know that one kid who got killed by the Sentinelese tribe on the island?
Yeah, he decided, for those who aren't familiar, this poor indoctrinated kid, really young 20-something, who graduated from Oral Roberts University, decided it was his mission in life to go to an uncontacted island of this tribe and bring them Jesus.
And diseases, which is, if you're isolated. No, literally, if you're isolated, that was a huge risk. It's one of the reasons why we don't have contact.
It was illegal for him to go.
He refused to take no for an answer. Do you know I have a weird connection to him? My brother-in-law knew him when they were doing like philanthropist work in Central or South America. And my brother-in-law was there, and that kid did not evangelize to him one time. And he was still a radical, he was a Christian then. And I just think that that's interesting to know that, he could be evangelizing here, but he's not. It's about the clout of doing it in the way that he was doing it.
You feel like some of that's performative? Even, who knows his heart? I think he was genuinely brainwashed, but some of this stuff is just...
It's clout.
It's just masturbation.
Internet. Yeah, it's just circle jerk. Look at me. It's a show. Look at how amazing it. Yes. Completely.
We have come back from the foreign land after bringing the gospel to the unclean, kind of thing. Sometimes that's the vibe. So you opened the door to talk about sexuality, and you knew this was coming, and this is not an ambush, and this is part of what you're speaking about at a convention we're attending. So everybody watching, this is like we knew we were going here.
I'm consenting to these questions enthusiastically.
And some of these questions I'm going to phrase in the way that commenters might phrase these questions as they come. I'm sure you've heard them before, so I'm going to play devil's advocate from time to time. But actually, I find your story really amazing, and the liberation from sexual control. I mean, you came out of a... were you shamed? Like, was it sex shaming for being a woman?
Oh, yeah. Again, I endured purity culture, and that dealt with a lot of guilt and shame. The first time I was ever aroused as a teenager, just randomly, because I found a smut book in a bookstore and read some and got it was traumatic. I panicked. It was awful. It was a horrible feeling. I felt like I wasn't in control of my body. I felt so bad.
Well, that's counterintuitive because a lot of people say that men are the ones who are stimulated by visual things, the porn mag, etc.
To be clear, it was I'm an intellectual and I prefer to read my smut, and this was So it was written form.
You are so quotable in the most twisted of ways.
It's true though. No, it's true. It was just reading, and it wasn't a romance novel. It was like a sexual tips and tricks, because I was in the clearance section of a bookstore, and
I know erotic fiction does have a huge female target demographic.
Women in general prefer to read.
Yeah.
Again, we're smarter than you, so.
It's something I will not contest. It's true. Men, we have a lot to apologize for. I'm not man hating, but I'm saying that.
And I'm not hating visual pornography. That's fine if that's what
does it for you.
That's great.
But
I just prefer to read.
That does sound a little superior. I'm just saying.
I prefer to
read. So when I came out of the faith, and maybe I still do, I'm very shy. And when I speak to people who have liberated themselves and sexually, and they're telling me their story, I find that there's an admiration. I think, wow, what an amazing world that they live in. But a lot of it is like a foreign country to me. And so I ask questions that might come off as naive. And if I do, I beg your forgiveness.
Fine. Okay, all right. Judgment-free space.
So you are poly.
Yes, polyamorous, yes.
What does that mean?
Polyamorous, poly meaning many, amorous meaning loves, many loves. I've been in a polyamorous relationship structure for over a decade. I am engaged to my fiance. We nest together, we cohabitate, but I have other secure attachments that I date, and they're very important to me, and it's honestly a big, happy family.
You know, the Puritans, you've heard the Puritans, they're saying adulteress,
Sure, okay.
harlot,
Okay,
slut.
sure. I have found that, especially men call women sluts for having any amount of sex, any amount, whether it's minimal or not, any amount of sex that doesn't include them personally.
Oh, really? You think there's some envy going on? Maybe there's always been a double standard, right? When the guy goes out and he has multiple conquests and all, in that context, conquests,
Yes. Yeah.
He's a playa. He's a playa. And when a woman does it, she's ruined, she's a
Whore, yeah,
harlot,
yeah.
she's a slut, she's a whore, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I fell into this world pretty easily. It actually felt extremely natural for me. It felt, I don't know how else to describe it. It was just easy. I started out my relationship with my fiance. I was in 2 monogamous relationships, long-term, dedicated, before I met my current partners, and I was cheated on in both of them, and it sucked. It was brutal. My first boyfriend cheated on me with my best friend for months. It was not a great time. I went through an intense process of my self-worth and my value as a person, and then when I got out of an abusive relationship, I decided that I was living in Vegas. I still live there. I was 22, 23-ish. I'm hot, I'm free, and I was gonna just live my life and have fun, and that meant that I was not going to endure adhering to anybody else's rules anymore at all. I was just gonna do what I wanted, and that ended up being open relationships with people, and it started out that way, and it was the most incredible experience of my life. And my partners they are so magical. I get caught up with how amazing.
All right, devil's advocate question.
Yes.
Is this not just a fuck you to your former life?
I'm not motivated by wanting to do stuff because I wasn't allowed to. If I want to do it, I do. If I don't want to do it, I don't. But there is a sense of vengeful joy in doing things that the church tried to take away from me. I will fully admit, but I don't do anything because someone told me not to.
It's like an ancillary benefit. It's a liberation exercise in that way.
Yeah, it happens to piss off the church in some. Okay, cool, fine. It makes you mad. Sure, I'm not doing it to make you mad.
This is even in the atheist space, the humanist space. I mean, this is foreign, scary, uncomfortable, maybe is the best word, territory.
It's threatening. It's very threatening to people.
What's that about? Like, more than curiosity, there seems to be an aversion or a repulsion.
Oh yeah, anger, a downright hostility. It's staggering. We as a culture, we see love as a finite resource that has to be controlled, and we can't allow anyone else to tap into our supply because it's a threat to ourselves. And when you recognize that people are not property and that love is infinite and abundant, life kind of opens up for you. And I'm not telling you to be polyamorous. I hope you know that this is not, I know
how people are wired in different, Natalie and we are each other's people, and that's what works for us, right?
Yeah.
But for those who frame it differently or who are, fed or spoken to or fulfilled, maybe is the word.
Fulfilled.
In a different way.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt anybody. Everybody's consenting. We're all adults. It's
enthusiastically consenting, yes.
Whenever we talk about how we need to break away from the church's constraints on sex, people are like, yeah. But even in the liberal, atheist, progressive, humanist space, then we'll see a type of sexual expression that freaks us out. And somehow we go back to being fundies.
Yeah, this is too far. Stop doing that. This is wrong. This is not how people are supposed to be. This is not how relationships are supposed to work. And to that I say, who told you that? Who told you that? Where does that come from?
Okay.
Maybe reflect on those feelings.
Okay, you're still educating me. All right.
Yes.
Talk to me in small words. Use your hands. All right, I'm a babe in the woods here. I'm going to throw one word out.
All right.
In a polyamorous context, there are multiple partners and you're sharing lives and you're in one bed and another bed, blah, blah, blah. Jealousy. Like, how does someone not think they're not with me? They're not touching me, they're not holding me, they're not spending time with me, they're with someone else. How does jealousy not make those relationships explode or implode?
For some people it does. For some people who go into polyamory, they find they can't manage those feelings, and I have a very unsatisfying answer, which is that I don't really experience jealousy like that. I experience compersion, which is the opposite of jealousy. When Nick, my fiance, when he's with somebody else, I'm ecstatic. I'm so happy. It makes me happy to know that he's happy with somebody else. I love the feeling. When my other partners are supported by other people, it makes me feel comfortable and safe knowing that.
She wouldn't mind me saying that, like if Natalie was with someone else, I would be heartbroken. I'd be like, am I not enough?
Oh yeah.
Are you starving to death in your heart? Is there another issue? Are you bored? Is this a referendum on who we are?
I remember feeling that way.
I would be traumatized because I want to be her person.
Yes.
So I guess maybe that means I'm wired differently. Like what meets my needs would be different than someone who was attracted to a poly environment.
And I felt that way when I was cheated on. It took me to the core of my being. I questioned everything about my identity and my value and myself, and I didn't think I could ever recover. It was one of the most traumatizing things I experienced when I was cheated on the way I was, and it put my health at risk because, of course, they weren't using protection and then went and had sex with me without telling me. Like, that's a health risk. Not having a conversation about STIs and barriers. Anyway, it was traumatizing. It was the lying that was the worst part. It wasn't the love and support or whatever. It was the deception and lying and breaking of boundaries. My boundaries are respected in my relationships, and
like you establish the framework and you operate within the framework.
Yes. Yeah, you can cheat in polyamorous relationships. You absolutely can cheat in them. And if I found out any of my partners broke any of the boundaries that I had, that would be traumatizing and upsetting, but they don't. We're all adults and there's no reason to. We just have conversations and speak to each other.
It's funny, given my personality, I feel like I'm peering in your windows. Glenda's like, nah, here's the front door, come on in.
Come on in.
You just are freaking an open book.
Yes, I am.
So one last question that you know is coming. She knows it's coming. All right, everybody, I'm not being that guy. She knows it's coming. You said fiance.
Yes.
You're poly. Why get married?
It's a great question. Who doesn't love a good party? Don't you love a good party? I love a good party.
Sure.
I'm getting married I technically am legally married now, and we got legally married because I needed surgery, and that means I needed health insurance because we don't have universal health care. So Nick and we've been together for a decade, and however long we continue to be together, we want to be able to make medical decisions for each other, visit each other in the hospital room, protect each other in that way. And unfortunately, domestic partnerships don't cut it when it comes to the legal recognition of partnerships. So
isn't it pathetic to live in a first world country, a developed nation, where we have to have these conversations about whether or not someone should have health coverage?
Yes, and it's also, with my other partners, I genuinely wish that I could have legal agreements with my other partners where I could be in the hospital room with them. I have been with one of my other partners for longer than I've been with my fiance, and if something happened, I would want to be able to be there, but I can't legally be his wife or his spouse. And if I start dating a woman, who knows what gay marriage is going to be? If we're able to, there's just a lot up in the air. But that's just not how the system is structured.
I feel like I've just been given a tour of another planet. Like so much of this is just literally, it's just a lot.
And if we just had universal health care and protections, this wouldn't necessarily be an issue, would it? It would not be as much of an issue.
I do think, though, as I gaze at your earrings, I do suspect they have healing powers. Like if I was to look at them, they have an aura. Actually, when I was a believer, I would have seen the sun thing and I would have figured you were a satanic new age type person. I
mean, listen, I did the pipeline from fundy faith into paganism, into atheism is very real. I absolutely dove. I skipped into that Wicca life for a brief period of time.
Sunflower emblems may be a sign that you are worshiping the false god. Is all I'm saying.
You know what it is for a lot of women? It's finding a spirituality that is not patriarchal, and that was as I was coasting out of the faith. And again, I was a fantasy nerd, right? So Wicca is right there. Renaissance festivals, LARPing, that's all right there.
What's LARPing?
Live action role plays, Seth.
Okay, so live action role playing. Thank you for that.
Big nerd culture.
So this is really an expression of connecting with nature, connecting with humanity, beyond the fundamental background they came out of.
Yeah, I would actually consider myself an atheo-pagan, if you've ever heard of atheo-paganism. It's kind of paganism without any supernatural belief.
Atheo-pagan.
Atheo-paganism.
Gotta write that down somewhere.
Yeah.
Glenda, you're amazing. Thank you for speaking out. You actually are helping a lot of people, not just through recovering from religion, but I think in general who have been scarred, damaged. Maybe they still have open wounds from fundamentalist cultures. And I think there's a lot to admire about who you are and what you do. And I'm just glad we're pals.
Same, and you're doing similar work. I do have to give a little shout out. I can't help it. I have to plug the org that I volunteer for. If you find yourself struggling with issues of doubt, please know that there is somebody standing by ready to listen to you with a sympathetic ear. At Recovering from Religion, we have a hotline and a chat line. We have so many resources. If you are struggling with recovering from purity culture, from fear of hell, if you feel disconnected from your friends and family who are still believers, come on over, come on in. The water's warm. We're ready to, it's a safe space for you to be here for you. We're not a deconversion service. And I help volunteer. I do a weekly meeting. We get together once a week and we talk about different stuff. And I help moderate this meeting. And
you've done this pitch before,
yes,
haven't you?
But I can't emphasize enough. I just there's so much joy. There's so much joy on this side.
Recoveringfromreligion.org. Glenda Jordan, thanks for chatting with me.
Thank you so much, Seth.